Some troubleshooting, repair, and service procedures for the QSK 45 and 60 engines require specialized service tools. Service tools used when working on the components of the front and rear end include pulley installation tool, front and rear crankshaft seal removal and installation tool, camshaft gear puller. The use of some of these tools are covered in more detail in troubleshooting procedures in this section. The pulley installation tool is used to install the water pump drive and accessory drive pulleys on the drive shafts on the front gear train. This tool accommodates the increased shaft lengths and the metric mounting hardware. The front and rear crankshaft seal installation tool is used to remove and install the new front and rear crankshaft oil seals. The new robust camshaft gear puller is used to remove either of the camshaft gears. This tool has been designed to accommodate the size of these new camshaft gears used on the QSK 45 and 60 engines and to withstand the press fit of the gears. With the addition of the crankshaft puller kit, the camshaft puller kit can also be used to remove the crankshaft gear from the crankshaft. Remove the two cap screws from the camshaft thrust bearing. Bar the engine to align the camshaft timing marks to the 12 o'clock position. To remove the camshaft drive gear, remove the left bank camshaft idler gear. If the right bank camshaft gear is being removed, also remove the right bank camshaft idler. Install the studs of the camshaft gear puller into the camshaft gear. Place the hydraulic ram on the nose of the camshaft. Next, install the puller plate and retaining nuts. Center the ram on the plate and tighten the retaining nuts. Activate the ram and remove the gear. Check and record the direction of the key offset compared to its camshaft gear rotation. The left bank camshaft gear rotates clockwise, and the right bank camshaft gear rotates counterclockwise. Remove the key. Record the part number of the camshaft key. Refer to the service literature for reuse guidelines and inspect the camshaft gear for reuse. Before installing the camshaft gear, position the thrust plate with the wide section toward the center of the engine for correct alignment. Install the appropriate camshaft key in the nose of the camshaft, making sure that the offset is in the correct direction. Heat the camshaft gear to specification. Align the keyway in the gear with the camshaft key and install the camshaft gear. Rotate the camshaft as needed and install the thrust plate mounting cap screws. Tighten the cap screws to specification. Use a dial indicator and measure the camshaft's end clearance. If the camshaft end clearance is not within specification, check for debris between the thrust plate and the block and check for the proper location of the gear on the camshaft. Install the camshaft idler gears. Check the engine timing. Refer to the service literature or the information presented later in this section. Prior to removing any of the idler gears, the engine should be barred to align the timing marks on the camshaft drive gears at 12 o'clock. With the front gear train positioned correctly, the idler gears can be removed by removing the cap screws, retainer, thrust washer, gear, second thrust washer, and idler shaft. All of the other gears that are installed from the front of the engine must be installed prior to installing the idler gears. When installing the idler gears, begin by installing the camshaft timing pins into the gear housing to hold the camshaft timing marks at the 12 o'clock position. The crankshaft damper pin and keyway should be at approximately the 11 o'clock position, and the crankshaft timing mark at approximately 1 o'clock. Install the accessory idler shaft with the oil hole in the shaft aligned at the 10 o'clock position. Lubricate the gear bushing, shaft, and thrust washer with Lubriplate 105. Install the thrust washer with the grooves facing toward the gear. Install the accessory idler gear with the small gear toward the engine block. Install the second thrust washer with the grooves toward the gear. Install the retainer and cap screws. Torque the cap screws to specification. Use a dial indicator to check the end clearance for the gear. Install the water pump idler shaft with the oil hole in the shaft oriented horizontally. Repeat the remainder of the procedure for idler gear installation as done for the accessory idler gear. Install the right bank camshaft idler shaft with the oil hole in the 1 o'clock position. Install the remainder of the idler gear assembly as previously described. All of the other gears in the front gear train must be installed prior to installing the left bank camshaft idler gear. Install the left bank camshaft idler shaft with the oil hole in the shaft oriented vertically. Lubricate the gear bushing and thrust washers. Make sure that the timing mark on the idler gear aligns with the crankshaft timing mark. Install the second thrust washer with the grooves toward the gear. Install the retainer and cap screws. Torque the cap screws to specification. Use a dial indicator to check the end clearance for the gear. After installing the front gear train, the backlash between each mating gear should be checked. The same procedure is used to check each gear. Position a dial indicator. Do not allow the mating gear to turn. Refer to the service literature for the backlash specifications. In this section, we will look at the procedure for checking injection timing. Refer to the service literature for additional details on this procedure. Injection timing is the relative measurement of the distance remaining between the injector plunger and the injector cup when the piston is 5.16 millimeters or 19 degrees before top dead center on the compression stroke. This measurement is expressed as the amount of remaining pushrod travel. The injection timing code appears on the engine data plate. These alphabetic codes relate to numerical specifications. These specifications can be found in the Control Part List or CPL manual. Advanced timing means the fuel is injected earlier into the cylinder during the compression stroke. Retarded timing means the fuel injection occurs when the piston is closer to top dead center. The amount of pushrod travel determines the time of fuel injection relative to the piston position. A low numerical value of pushrod travel remaining indicates a greater degree of timing advance. A high numerical value of pushrod travel remaining indicates a greater degree of retarded timing. Injection timing changes are accomplished by advancing or retarding the cam follower action relative to the piston position. This is accomplished by changing the orientation of the camshaft lobe to the cam follower using different camshaft gear keys. The camshaft key provides a method of indexing the camshaft relative to the gear. Offset keys allow the camshaft profile to be rotated slightly while the gear train timing remains the same. The more the offset in the camshaft gear is offset in the direction of camshaft normal rotation, the more the injection timing will be retarded and the pushrod travel numerical value increases. When checking or setting injection timing, it is recommended practice to use a slip-fit gear. The offset keys can be identified by measuring the amount of offset and referring to the information provided in the service literature. Each 0.025 millimeters or 1/1000th inch of offset causes a 0.0127 millimeter or 1/2,000th inch change in the pushrod travel. When checking the timing, the first and last cylinders on each bank are to be checked. With the rocker levers and injectors removed, install the locator spacer and the timing tool in the injector bore. With the tool installed, bar the engine in the direction of normal rotation until both plungers begin moving upward at the same time. This indicates that this cylinder is on its compression stroke. Position the piston gauge. After positioning the piston at top dead center, zero the piston gauge. Then position the pushrod gauge over the stem. Rotate the crankshaft in the direction of normal rotation until the pushrod indicator stops rotation. The cam follower is now on the outer base circle of the camshaft, and the piston is approximately 45 degrees after top dead center. Zero the pushrod gauge. Then rotate the crankshaft opposite normal rotation through top dead center until the piston gauge reads 0.25 inches or 6.35 millimeters. This indicates that the piston is 0.250 inches or 6.35 millimeters before top dead center. Rotate the engine in the direction of normal rotation until the piston gauge reads 0.203 inches or 5.161 millimeters. Read the pushrod gauge. This is the actual injection timing. If the timing is correct, install the camshaft drive gear. If the timing is not correct, refer to the offset key chart and worksheet in the service literature to determine the correct key to install.